going to be talking about the role of youth in building healthy masculinity. Wow, it's an exciting topic, and it's an area I always love to talk about. What do we need to do as young people in promoting healthy masculinity? And this is important because of what is happening around us. We are seeing a lot going on in our time. And also, we're also talking about this because we cannot deny that the fact that despite all that is going on, there's a place where young people, there's a role that young people play in also in bringing about the change. And when we are talking about young people, also narrowing it down to the men. Because these men will become fathers, will become leaders, will become husbands tomorrow, and whatever we are built with, whatever we inculcate at this stage is what we will become tomorrow. So the place of inculcating the right values in the life of youth is very critical to national development, because men are products of their upbringing. And that's why I'm excited talking about this, especially because of the culture of toxic masculinity that exists in our society that has caused a lot of harm and a lot of dysfunction to young people and young men. And I'll first I'll start with defining what healthy masculinity is, so that we understand, and I'll talk about what toxic masculinity is, and I'll go ahead to talk about what young people, what youths need to do to promote this healthy masculinity, because a light lies on it. When we are healthy people on the inside, when we understand, when we have the right mindset as people, as young people, as young men, then we'll be able to achieve more. We'll be able to build the society of our dreams, because a broken man can only build a broken society. It takes a healthy man to build a healthy society. And so the dysfunction we are seeing in our society, the crisis and all that we are seeing, is as a result of broken people who don't understand what it means to be healthy on the inside. And so when we don't understand that, we become the product of that thought or of our mentality. So healthy masculinity means being honest with oneself about your feelings, your needs and desire. It also means treating others with the kind of respect they deserve. It can also mean being in tune with our feeling and recognizing that they don't control our actions. So a man that has a healthy masculinity is a man who understands his feeling, who is honest about his feelings, his needs and desires. And also means a man who recognizing that these feelings doesn't mean they will control your action, that you're feeling crazy doesn't mean you should go out and do something crazy, that you are feeling angry doesn't mean you should go out and start hitting or killing people. So a man who is healthy upstairs in his mind is a man who understands that, yes, I have feelings, I'm honest with my feelings, but yet that feeling, especially when it's negative, doesn't mean I should, my action, should just, bump in like that. It doesn't mean that I have to always act the way I feel. So when we are healthy upstairs, it means, yes, we first understand our feelings and we are able to channel it in the right direction. So I'll go ahead to define what toxic masculinity is, and is a narrow and repressive description of manhood, designating manhood as defined by violence, by sex, by status, and aggression. And that's a wrong perception most people have today about masculinity. When you talk about masculinity, you only think it has to do with violence, sex, or status, or aggression. So when you're not aggressive, when you're not violent, then you're not a man. So that's the culture of the wrong notion that we've had about masculinity. And that's what the mindset that so many young men have carried, even as they go through life. And so their actions are always portraying what they have on the inside. And so to build a healthy nation, to change the narrative, we must begin to debunk such perspectives, because they have put us where we are today as a nation. So those toxic masculinity is also a cultural idea of manliness, where strength is everything and emotion is seen as weakness. When you say a man is only, you have to be strong like this. So when you are weak or when you are showing emotions, it means you are not a man. That is toxic masculinity. And it has put so many men into trouble, and it has led so many men even to early grave, and made so many men to just be, to just stay boxed up. They are not expressing, they are not bringing out what is happening on the inside. That's also made so many men to feel they don't need anybody, they know it all. And that's one of the issues men are having. We know it all, we know what to do, we can do it, we don't need anybody. These are the culture of toxic masculinity that is affecting us. And if we want to build healthy nation, then we must begin to debunk such mentality. And I'll just talk about three things. That's our role as young people in promoting this healthy masculinity. I want to talk about three things. I'll talk about the need for men to build safe communities. I'll talk about our mindset, and I'll talk about emotions. And one of the things I will do is to differentiate between our mindset and our emotions in building healthy masculinity. Yes, it's something. This is really important because, like I said from the onset, men are products of their upbringing. Whatever we think, whatever we feel, whatever understanding we grow up with is what we manifest tomorrow. A man who has seen, understood manliness or masculinity to be, to be into sex or violence, we grow up always hitting the woman, always violating laws, always a man who has thought that masculinity is just to gather money and make, we grow up always stealing, even when it's in a government or in an official position. So, because these men are products of their upbringing. And so we are seeing this crisis. We are seeing the issue of rape. Look at the issue of violence against women, and all manner of things going around. These are culture or mindset that so many men have grown up with, and they begin to manifest it. So if we must build the society of our dream, then we must, come together as young people and begin to promote healthy masculinity. And the first thing I want to talk about, or the first role we should play as young people, is to be part of safe communities of learning as men. We should come to a point where we understand as young men, we don't know it all. We need one another. We need to come together and have a formidable force where we teach, where we learn, where we unlearn, where we're able to challenge one another, where we can look at each other in the eyes and say, brother, you are wrong. We don't have so much of that existing for young men. I appreciate what the women are doing out there, and I'm making a call to men. If we must promote healthy masculinity, then as young men, we must begin to come together to build safe community, to be part of this community where we talk to ourselves, where we encourage ourselves, where we challenge ourselves, where we can tell ourselves, no, this is right, this is wrong, where we are building, where we are being mentored, where we are held accountable, where we are guiding and speaking. So many men are looking for such platform where they can learn and understand, because the issue around men is that most times we feel we know, but we actually don't know. So if we must build that, then we must come together and begin to speak, encourage, and challenge one another positively. The second area I want to talk about in promoting healthy masculinity is in our mindset. We need to learn to develop the right mindset as men. We must develop a healthy mindset. There's a culture or there's a mindset that so many men have developed over time. There's a mindset of, I can always have what I want, about money when, any man who is not driving this, you have not made it. Any man who is not stealing millions is not a man. If you are not smart to people, you call it smartness, but it's stealing, or you're corrupt, So that's the mindset so many men are growing up with. If you don't hit a woman, then you're not a man. If you're not able to challenge a woman and if you talk and the woman doesn't shake, then you're not a man. These are the mindset we must begin to debunk. That's why we need to come together and begin to talk to ourselves as a man. That is not what true masculinity is. So develop a healthy mindset as young people. Must begin to change that mindset. That is about collaboration. It's about cooperation. It's not competition. We are not loggerheads. We are not here to who owns more. It's about building a nation. Because the seed we sow will determine the fruit we will reap tomorrow as individuals and as a nation. So if we want to build a nation, it's not just about you. It's about the nation. It's about the future. It's about the generation to come. It's about tomorrow. So you must know that whatever effort, whatever you're doing now, does not just end with you. It goes a long way to affect even the generations yet unborn after you. So what are we doing to build a positive mindset, a healthy mindset? So as young people, we must begin to change the narrative. Say, no, this is not who a man is. A man is gentle, a man is loving, a man is caring, a man is sacrificial, a man is respectful. What kind of mindset are we building? A man is hardworking. He works to earn money and not by stealing. The culture of fraudulent activities going on among young men, courtesy, drugs, a lot of men are in the streets just looking for a quick way out. It's a wrong mindset. And if we must promote healthy masculinity, then we must change this mindset and begin to teach our younger males. They're even looking up to us as role models to say, this is who a healthy man is. And the last thing I'll talk about in promoting healthy masculinity as young people is to build and promote healthy emotions. There's been a culture of, a man, men don't cry, men also always lock up things, men can always do it all. So you must, like I said from the onset, I want to be able to differentiate our mindset from our emotions, what we think with the way we feel. So I've talked about the way we think as men. I'm now addressing the way we feel. Research has shown that more men die of, most of this terminal disease from high blood pressure, even suicide. The rate of suicide among young men is higher. Why? Because men always lock up things on the inside. If we must promote healthy masculinity, then we must begin to learn to build and promote healthy emotions. Know when you can cry as a man, you can express yourself as a man. Some men will be there dying, they are struggling, they need help, and they are not calling out for help. They are just there, locked up on the inside. We can't do this alone. We can't fight this battle alone. We can't win alone. We can't build the kind of society or community we want to see alone. We need to come together and accept our differences, our weaknesses, to know that we need one another to stand, to pull through, to win. What kind of emotions are you building as a man? A healthy man is a man that is building and promoting healthy emotions. Let's begin to debunk. Let's begin to change this cycle. This thing of, oh man, this man, that, we are just locked up. It's not helping us as young men. Let's express. And when a man, as young men, I say, we need to come together and begin to have, be vulnerable around each other. Create a accountability community where we can talk to each other. Build healthy emotions. Don't say that a man is always rigid, a man is always like this. No. A man is expressive. A man can show love. A man can be loved. And that's why you see a lot of violence in the home, even in marriages on women, because men are not building healthy emotions where they can express and talk about what they're doing. And in summary, I'll just state some quotes. One by Ralph Waldo says, your own mind is a sacred enclosure into which nothing harmful can enter except by your permission. So you're a product of your thoughts. And whatever thought you let in is what you have permitted. And I'm asking you as young men, what are we permitting? What thoughts, what mentality are we building? Also, Dr. Waye Dai said, the state of your mind is nothing more than a reflection. The state of your life is nothing more than a reflection of the state of your mind. So whatever will become tomorrow is determined by what we are thinking, our thought process, and what we know or believe today. And lastly, say, take charge of your attitude. Don't let someone else choose it for you. And in summary, I'm saying to young men, let's take charge of our attitude. Don't let someone else, choose it for you. What are you choosing today? When we build healthy men, we promote healthy society. A broken boy is a broken man. When we save the men, then we secure the future, because there will be leaders, there will be husbands, there will be, fathers tomorrow. And whatever we begin to think or imagine or create today is what will become tomorrow. I commit and I charge every young man listening to me. Let's build healthy masculinity and begin to change and build the society of our dream. Happy International Youth Day to every young person out there. And the men, I say to you, you can be the change you want to see. Let's change the narrative. Let's build communities. Let's begin to think positively, and let's begin to show the love that we are made of as men. I see you at the top, and I see a new nation, and I see the kind of men we want and we've always emphasized. congratulations. Thank you once again for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ebuka. That was so insightful. Thank you so much. I hope that very, very soon, as we keep contributing to this work, that one day we can see all men be the kind of men that we would love them to be, healthy, masculine men without any toxicity. Thank you so much. So please, okay, so I'll just go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah, take all the questions available for me.
Okay. So the first question is, what are the signs a boy is addicted to pornography? What are the signs that show that a boy is addicted to pornography? And for a boy who is addicted to pornography, how can you help him out of it? Also, there's another question which says, what's the next course of action after a boy drops out of school? What's the next course of action after a boy drops out of school? Then you spoke about healthy emotions. How do you tell in a society like Nigeria, where there's really no talk about mental health and all those things? How do you help? How can a parent discover that their son is going through a mental health crisis, and how can they help him out of it? Thank you. Those are the questions.
The first question is how to know a boy that is struggling with porn.
Yes.
Abby, porn, then
yes,
talk about dropouts and then emotions. Okay, yeah. Yes. One of the signs of boys that are struggling with porn is the fact that most of them are reserved. You know, most boys, and one thing that makes it difficult to identify a boy that's struggling with sexual issue from a girl is that when a girl is struggling with a sexual issue, when a girl is sexually exposed, it's always easier to detect than a boy, because you see a lot of things changes around the girl, the way she dresses, a lot just changes, you know. But for the boy, is that most boys, when they are sexually active at a young age, what that does to them is as if it fast forwards their age, and most of them begin to act mature, quiet, because it's as if it's bringing them to become a man early, you know. So it's always difficult to decode when a boy is struggling. But one of the things you see is my video not on? Can you see my video?
On, I can see you. I can see you and hear you perfectly.
Everybody's asking me to activate my video. So most of the boys always reserve, they're on their own. When the boy is struggling with porn, they always on their own. Some of them, it won't happen under their bed sheet. They always want to be on their own. They always want to be in the bedroom. They are just this. They are reserved. They're always very quiet. But because of the nature of boys, most times it's difficult to decode. And that's why we tell parents or caregivers to build a relationship. Because when you keep policing, sometimes you may never find out. Some of them are very smart. What will make a boy to talk to you or tell you when he's going through such is the relationship you have built with him. So people say boys don't like open up or they don't want people to build that. No, boys are always ready and looking for somebody who will understand them. Once they get that person who is open, who can understand how they feel, what they're going through, they're able to talk about it. So when we build relationship, then we're able to understand when a boy is struggling. Because sometimes some of them are having those signs, but you can never decode that there's something actually going wrong. But building a relationship will help you to know, because the boy will say, this is what I'm going through and I need you to help me at this point. Secondly, about dropout. Yeah, one of the things we do in our organization is also to help boys that drop out of school. Let's encourage people that no matter the issue, when a boy drops out of school, yes, it's good for them to learn skills and acquire skills, but whatever we can do to also help that boy continue that learning, even though not in a conventional school, but whichever platform that can help that boy to continue. Because we've discovered that from our experience with boys that are involved in crime, cultism, and all of that, most of them are dropped out from school, and they are coming from a dysfunctional home. So we can see that there's a correlation between dropping out of school and the negative behaviors that most boys portray. Because boys want to get engaged. When they are not engaged, positively. They have a lot of energy that they want to unleash. When you are not doing that, they look for a negative way out to, to unleash those energies. So we encourage parents that make sure your boy is going to school. If he's not going, get him engaged positively, because that energy must be unleashed. If it's not unleashed positively, they look for a way to unleash it negatively. And that's the local health most boys are having with their parents, because they want to unleash. It's a natural gift that God has given boys because of the high rush of testosterone, especially at puberty. So most boys want to unleash because it's on the inside of them. So with that, I say education is key. Get them engaged in school, because when they're out, a lot happens to them. So when a boy is dropped out, to encourage, look for a way to engage that boy, not in a conventional school. There are different educational platforms or things you can help that boy to engage, even as he works, as he's doing the handwork or anything, but his mind, his mental development is still intact, because that is very key to the developmental process of a boy. And lastly, you talked about emotions. I need to take that question on emotion again.
You said that you spoke about promoting healthy emotions amongst boys. So in a society like Nigeria, where there isn't really any system of helping out people who are struggling with mental health crises like depression and stuff like that, how can you help a boy who is dealing with all these things?
Thank you very much.
How can the parents notice? How can the parents find out that their child is dealing with any mental health crisis and help them out of it?
Thank you very much. Very key question, because that's one of the issues we have with boys, or people don't even have places where they can go and when they have mental health issues. Even the people who are engaged in helping others, some of them are very expensive. How many people have the money to pay for those services? I was saying government needs to, create platforms where people can go. I was happy when I saw yesterday that the Lagos State government now have a center where civil servants that are having mental health issues can go and get help. Those are the things we want to see in the functional system, who is really, after the interest of these people. But we are not seeing that. And one of the things I mentioned in my presentation is men building safe communities where they can talk about this thing. But we have a community on Facebook for men. The men talk about issues they go through. So if the government is not creating that, we as men can create that. Form accountability groups where you can talk about issues that concern you. And you're there, you're open. I've joined so many accountability groups for men. And it's amazing. There are a lot of them online where you can talk. There are people who are there to offer free services, psychologists to talk to you, people who will guide you, where you can always share your emotions or the way you feel. Because most men are locking things on the inside, and that's why we see a lot of men explode in violence, in anger, because they're not sharing, they're not expressing. More men are dying of hypertension, more men are dying of some terminal diseases because we are locking things on the inside. And what we just do is to explode and scatter, and the women are at the receiving end. Society is at the receiving end because these men are not emotionally and mentally stable. So if the government is not creating that, we as men, let's create such groups and encourage one another to begin to speak. It's not weakness to speak. Even a strong man that can speak. Most times we say it's weakness to speak. Anybody who can speak is a strong person. So it's strength to speak. When you are talking about your problem, it's not weakness. It's not weakness. We need to debunk that. And that's what has kept so many men in the box. And when you talk, when you cry, it's really, when you say you are sick, they will laugh at you. When you say I have an issue, and it's killing us. So let's begin to build that and encourage one another as men. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ebuka.